Hey all, here at OS Reviews. Today we're taking a quick hands-on look at TickTime. This is a current crowdsourced project that will launch likely on Indiegogo starting at $25 and up. It promises to be one of the more innovative countdown timers that you'll find. So a very simple product, but it does have an elegant design, and we always like to look at slightly unusual or quirky gadgets that is a break from the typical phones that we review. But it relies on a 6-axis accelerometer, and it's constructed out of an aluminum material, and on all sides of this prism there is essentially digits for the preset times that you can have it count down from, or you can use a custom time as well that you can set like a traditional timer, and you basically rotate this prism in order for it to detect what time you want to start counting down from. Volume is adjustable, it's magnetic, so it can attach onto any metal surfaces. It's very compact and has an LED display. Although one thing I will say is it doesn't have any additional smart functionality, such as, say, acting as a clock or connecting to a companion app on your phone. It doesn't have built-in Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, for instance. So it is just a timer, it just has a very kind of modern aesthetic and design. Obviously, it can be used in lots of different situations, whether it's for cooking, whether it's for sports. If you're playing games, you can also do different session times on it. So here's an example of a kind of timed game that you can use it for, and you can also again use the accelerometer for it to pause and then continue along. It's rechargeable, so it uses a micro USB lead to quickly top it up. And then inside here we have just the TickTime itself. Down below here we have access to the micro USB cable for charging and also a quick user guide. So taking a closer look here, the entire thing is constructed out of a aluminum alloy, so it does feel very sturdy. Here's the loudspeaker that will beep whenever it reaches 0 if you have it in the sound mode, and the volume can also be adjusted. When you flip it over like this, it's kind of pausing the timer so it doesn't actually count anything. And then if you flip it over, you can see the display on the side and 2 arrow keys for changing things like volume and for the custom times that you may want to set, in addition to the micro USB port for charging. To turn it on, just press on any key or button and it wakes up from sleep. The display here is not the brightest thing in the world, but it's under moderate lighting environments, you should be able to see it. And yes, all of the sides are also backlit as well as you're rotating, which does look very cool in the dark, and they will all start to glow and flash once the timer reaches 0. In terms of the other settings, we can simply rotate it to, for example, 10, and it will start counting down from 10 minutes. The other side here, 5 minutes, and you can see the display start to rotate a little bit to match our orientation. 3 minutes, 15 minutes. We also have the 25 minutes here, and then all the way back to 30 minutes. Granted, the amount of preset times is something that will have to depend on you as a user. I think that it's reasonable in terms of having 3, 5, 10, 30, and 25 picked, but perhaps I would have liked to see an hour or 60-minute option imprinted on one of the sides, but it is what it is. Now, while it's counting down here, we can change the volume just by tapping on the keys here to make it louder, so you can hear the kind of volume start to raise, or I can make it more quiet, and you can see the indicator here also start to decrease. You can see that the wheel here also starts to decrease, so this reacts to the amount of time that's remaining, so you can quickly glance over and see on the display about how much percentage is left out of this round circle. So it kind of ticks down as well until it gets to the red zone, meaning that you're kind of out of time. Now, in case you want to set your own time, all you need to do is kind of set it upwards like this, and then when it's in this particular orientation as detected by the accelerometer, you can now tap on the keys, and instead of changing the volume, it will be changing the time. So on here I can change the minutes. We're up to 57 minutes, as you can see here, going up to 60 minutes. It even continues onward. So the maximum that you can do is the maximum that the display can hold, which is 99 minutes and 99 seconds. So it's able to count down for roughly an hour and a half for the maximum self-inputted time. So this is for minutes, and then over here, this is for seconds. By gently popping it onto a table, and it will remember that and just start to count down. But if you aren't too gentle, if you kind of shake it or change the orientation, it will be reset. And right now it's on silent, so we don't actually hear anything, but you see all the flashing lights, which is more obvious if we dim the lights here. It creates almost a light show effect, which is pretty dazzling. And again, because it is using LEDs and it's rechargeable, it doesn't really consume as much power, doesn't need to swap out batteries. It does stop though after about 20 seconds or so. Now for another demo with the sound activated. You can hear that's what it's like. You can also kind of flip it over and that automatically mutes it as well. So this is still a countdown timer, so it's assuming that you are nearby and you can kind of hear once it stops and alerts you. It's not really meant as an alarm, which means that there is no kind of snooze function. It doesn't keep on ringing until you flip it over. It just stops after a few seconds, and that's something that you aren't able to change at this particular point in time. Really aimed at anyone that needs a countdown timer that's constantly trying to keep track of a few minutes and needs something to remind them of it. This is going to be an interesting little gadget to take a closer look at that shouldn't be too expensive. So you can check out more details if you are interested in the links down below, but for now that's been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews. That's been the TickTime Countdown Timer.